hop over to the daily on the Dixie for us to begin, and then open up this chat real quick. But over on the daily for our Dixie, this is the dollar index. Remember, the dollar index does typically, sorry about that, the dollar index does typically trade inverse of crypto. So if dollar index goes up, usually the crypto market comes down. That's usually how they are paired together. Our stochastic is pulling back. We do have our orange line above our blue line down here on market cipher B right here. That is attributing to that RSI losing strength. If that stochastic continues to pull back, RSI will continue to weaken. Our VWAP, this yellow wave, is pulling back into our bearish territory, meaning under zero for these. That is our VWAP momentum and money flow. And then under zero on market cipher B is bearish, and then over zero is bullish. So we are currently in that bearish territory pulling back. If we continue to pull back here, we could see that money flow, our green wave, flip into a red wave, and then we would see our trend become more bearish. That would again be positive for crypto, because as Dixie goes down, crypto would typically go forward. Our momentum is pulling back, so overall I would watch very close. We do have a long lower shadow though. A long lower shadow candle does show that the sellers tried to pull us back, but the bulls did step in and help propel us a little bit forward, not very much. So if we are able to continue higher from here, then we may see a rounding bottom where you get a strong green candle after this green candle, and then that could push us above. However, if we get stopped out by our 105, we could invalidate that still, so I would watch for that even if we do make a bounce up. And remember, if we make that bounce up, then crypto likely will pull back a little bit more. Over on the 4 hour, we are pushing forward. We are below this green EMA for most of our day, and then we are pushing toward our blue EMA. So if Dixie is going to increase, we do need to get above this blue EMA. Our stochastic, our double line, is pushing forward. We do have our blue above orange, so that does give us bullish strength, meaning we could continue forward. RSI does want to push up. VWAP is in the bullish territory, that yellow wave, causing that momentum, our blue wave, to push forward. So as that momentum continues to gain strength, our red wave, our money flow, could push toward our neutral and attempt to flip more bullish. You would want to watch on the lower time frames on the 1 and 2 hour. If they become more bullish, then that 4 hour could gain some strength here. Our stochastic on our 2 hour is starting to pull back. RSI wants to round away. VWAP is starting to pull back. Momentum is rounding, and our money flow is pulling back as well. So if our VWAP cannot maintain in this bullish favor above the zero, then we could see our momentum pull back here and cause money flow to weaken. However, if our VWAP continues to get strong highs and bullish favor, then we could continue forward on the higher time frames. Over on the 1 hour here, if we zoom in, we are right at that red EMA, so if we pull back here, we could end up breaking these other EMAs. You want to watch our VWAP close here. Our VWAP is trying to make a lower low, that yellow wave. So if that VWAP does make a lower low here, momentum could continue lower, then our money flow could end up rejecting away. That would then weaken those higher time frames and cause Dixie to weaken. So if you want bullish momentum on Dixie, you want to see this VWAP make a bounce. If our VWAP pulls back into the bearish territory, we could start to get lower lows with lower highs. That would then pull momentum back and cause money flow to start to curl away. That would in turn weaken price action and push the Dixie lower. Now over on the total for the daily, we are kind of hitting that neckline again, so this is just a high area of resistance for us. I'll delete all this other stuff real quick. So this is acting as an area of resistance that we aren't quite able to get above, so I would watch that very close. If we're going to get bullish momentum, we need to break above that area and hold. That is right around that 695. So if we push above that area and hold, then we could see continued bullish momentum. Right now, we do look a little more on the bearish side, and I would watch for a strong red candle. If we get a strong red candle here, we could have a rise, a drop, a rise, and then a drop. That would create a double top, and a double top does bring you lower. Our stochastic is pulling back. We do have our orange above blue. RSI is weakening, that red line, and the momentum is pulling back with a red dot. As that blue wave, our momentum continues to pull back here, our VWAP, our yellow wave, could favor more bearish and continue to drop as well. If we see those favor to the bearish side, then that money flow could pull back, and we could see price action overall slip away and break our 674 if we're not careful. We have wicked to that level a couple times. Over on the 4 hour, we do have a little bit of a rise after followed by a consolidation. So that could try to give us a bull flag here. A bull flag here. Thank you for joining us. Leave a chat. If you want any kind of coins that we cover, we can stop by ALGO. So if you want other coins besides that, let me know in the chat. Or if you have any questions, drop them there. But we could make a bull flag here. A bull flag is created with that consolidation range after a rise forward. It is very loose to call it a bull flag right now because we don't have many candles, but it could try to push us above that resistance area, which remember we do need to push above that and hold if total and our altcoins are going to continue forward. So our RSI, our red line here, is starting to pull back. Stochastic is starting to round away. That double line, our blue, is starting to curl. So if it does break that orange, we could see bearish strength that would cause RSI to continue lower. Momentum, our blue wave, is starting to curl back due to that yellow wave, our VWAP, favoring more bearish in this wave here. So if we don't get a strong high after crossing this zero, we could see our VWAP pull back below that zero. That would then weaken momentum and cause our green wave, our money flow, to weaken as well. And that could cause price action to slip here, resulting in our altcoins slipping as well. So over on the 2 hour here, our stochastic is pushing forward. We do have our blue above orange, so that is a bullish cross that could help continue to push us up. RSI does have slightly lower highs, and it does look like it wants to reject, so I would keep a close eye on that stochastic. If it pulls back, RSI likely will follow. Our VWAP is trying to favor the bullish territory. We have a higher high with a higher low, so if we can continue this favor here, our momentum could break this neutral, push forward, and give our money flow the strength it would need to help push price action higher. Over on the 1 hour here, this is kind of like that double top we warned about. So you have that rise, drop, rise. If we continue to drop from here and break this neckline about 684, then we could see a double top, and that could end up pulling us back near that 674 level. So I would exercise caution and watch our VWAP here on the 1 hour close, because it does want to pull back. If that VWAP does pull back and favor the bearish territory from there, momentum will pull back, and that money flow can weaken as well, and that would result in the higher time frame starting to weaken if that stays for several candles. So over to Bitcoin dominance, we'll just cover this on the daily real quick. We are starting to break our EMA levels, and we are continuing lower here. Again, this is on our market cipher A, so we have market cipher A and B right here. These are free versions in TradingView, which is also free. No need to spend hundreds of dollars. But we are pulling back here. Stochastic's pulling back. Our RSI is weakening due to our stochastic pulling back. The VWAP is currently in the bearish territory, and it's struggling to break through to the bullish territory. If that VWAP cannot break toward the bullish territory, our momentum could continue lower, and that money flow will continue to weaken. If we see that in dominance, we could see Bitcoin slip, but again, Bitcoin can increase less than total like we saw yesterday, and we can still see dominance decrease because it's representative of Bitcoin versus stablecoins and our altcoins. So over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we are struggling here with this resistance area. We did try to wick up near our value area high today, but we got rejected. We need to break toward the 69K and hold if we're going to continue forward. If we continue to show some weakness here, as futures does lead Bitcoin price, we could see both of them slip here. Our stochastic does want to pull back. We are seeing the blue line curl up, so if that blue line can cross our orange and stay above it, that could keep our RSI from breaking down, which would in turn help keep price action near where it is and give it the possibility to push up, depending on things like our VWAP. If that VWAP continues to favor bearish here, momentum could continue to pull back, and that money flow, our red wave, could end up continuing lower and deepening that red wave. If we do see that yellow wave, our VWAP, break down, and our blue wave, our momentum, pull back, that VWAP could end up breaking down and pushing us lower, so watch those lower time frames. Remember, the lower time frames do lead into the higher ones. But don't go beyond the 1 and 2 hour. It can get very messy, even if you're not a very seasoned trader. Even doing the 1 and 2 hour can be a little much to handle. But over on the 4 hour, RSI is pushing up. Stochastic is trying to push forward. We do have our blue line above our orange, so that is very positive. Our VWAP is trying to break that neutral, so if our VWAP can sustain bullish momentum from here, we could see our momentum gain strength. We do have that green dot on it right there, and our money flow could continue forward. If that does happen, we could see the daily push up and gain some further strength, hopefully breaking and holding that 69K. Currently on the 2 hour, you can see we have a higher low. We need to make a higher high by pushing up to that gapped area. Remember, gaps have an 80% chance to fill, and that does give us the potential to run up, break this resistance area. Remember, we did run up pretty quick, we did retrace pretty quick, and one move quick one way is usually retraced by a move the other way. So if we run up quick, usually you retrace that run up. Usually if you retrace quick, you do see a push up. Our RSI does want to remain more toward the bullish territory. Remember, anything above a 30 for our RSI and stochastic is bullish. That is helping push our stochastic forward. The blue line is staying above that orange. We keep bouncing off it. Ideally, you do want to see these lines kind of split apart a little bit more in order to get more of a run up like they did back here. You can see price action ran up there. We got that big split off, so that's what you want. Our VWAP does have higher lows with higher highs. As we hit the neutral here, that would be a high, then a high here, so that is very positive for our VWAP. That could continue to push momentum and the money flow higher, providing that VWAP stays bullish on the 1 and 2 hour. Over on the 1 hour here, we did pull back to this red EMA. We almost broke toward our 300 EMA, that black EMA. That is a strong level of support resistance, so if we do break that, we could see that push down to our 65.5, just like we've been warning about. Our stochastic does want to round away here. Our RSI is starting to flatten out. So if that stochastic does make another breakdown, we could see the RSI react a little bit more this time. Our VWAP is starting to pull back. That could cause that momentum to reject, and our money flow does want to reject the neutral with our VWAP. So if that VWAP breaks for a lower low, we could see some bearish strength. Ideally, you want to see our VWAP stay in this bullish territory, bring our momentum higher, and cause that money flow to flip bullish green, and then we could see the higher time frames continue to push up. However, if that VWAP does reject, that could set us up to break that EMA and then see that 65.5. So over on Bitcoin for the daily, we did push down out of our descending triangle, A descending triangle is where you get descending tops with flat bottoms. We can jump to the 1 hour so you can see that a little cleaner, and then we'll delete it and then go back to the daily and work our way. But you do see we got our breakdown that we warned about. We did wick down to that gray EMA, and we are trying to hold above our 300 black EMA. We need to hold this level and continue to run up if Bitcoin is going to continue forward. So I am going to delete this just so it looks a little bit cleaner on the daily here. So over back to the daily, we do have that strong wick, zoomed out way too much, but we do have that strong wick that brought us to that blue EMA. We do want to continue to bounce from here. A wick like this is a long lower shadow, so a long lower shadow does show that the bears tried to push us down, but the bulls are trying to step in. So if we can invalidate that long upper shadow with a strong green candle next, we could see a run up, potentially revisiting our highs and giving new highs if we can sustain bullish momentum. Our momentum wave is pulling back here. Stochastic is pulling back. We do have our orange above blue. That is a bearish cross that does want to break us lower, so I would exercise caution. RSI is pulling back. Our VWAP is currently favoring the bearish territory. We have a low here, a lower high here compared to these highs. So we are sliding away. As we continue to slide away, momentum could continue to pull back, and that money flow is clinging to bullish territory. So it wouldn't take very much to make it break bearish and give us a trend reversal on the daily. Over on the 4 hour here, we are struggling with our EMAs. We're kind of getting these indecision candles, these dragonfly candles. So that does show the market really doesn't know which way it wants to go right now. Exercise caution, because usually when the market's very indecisive, you do get quite a bit of volatility. Our RSI does want to pull back. Stochastic does want to round away. our VWAP is currently favoring the bearish territory with lower lows. If we reject or make a weak high, we could continue our bearish favor, which would then cause momentum to continue lower, and our money flow could then break our neutral and push down if we see that continue over the next couple of candles. Over on our 2 hour here, we did kind of wick up, so this is a little bit indecisive. That's not a very good candle either. That long upper shadow does show the inverse of a long lower shadow, meaning it shows bulls tried to push us up, bears stepped in, and they pushed us lower. So if we follow this with a strong red candle, we could end up breaking lower. Our RSI does want to pull back. Stochastic is running up, so if our stochastic can remain above this 30, then RSI could remain bullish and help keep price action from dropping lower. Our momentum does want to push up, and that VWAP is trying to favor bullish with the higher high and higher lows. So if that VWAP can continue to favor bullish, momentum could continue higher, and that money flow could gain some strength, breaking through the neutral and possibly flipping green. We would want the money flow to hold in the green because that would give us bullish strength to help run us up. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic does want to pull back. We do have our orange above blue, and that is starting to push us down. RSI is starting to pull back. Our VWAP is starting to round away. Momentum is in the bullish territory, but if that VWAP breaks down and gets a lower low, that momentum will retrace and money flow could reject. However, if our VWAP does sustain in this bullish territory and continue to favor, momentum can continue higher. Money flow could break that neutral, and we could solidify a bounce and break away from our EMA band. Again, we do see this EMA band kind of spreading away, so if we can see it diverge away, that could give the bulls some further strength. We want this lower EMA to stay below us. If it starts to get above us, then the bears have stronger control. So real quick, if you have any questions, I'm going to take a quick drink of some water. But over on the daily for graph, we do have that rising channel, and we did break our 61,954 just like we warned you about, so I would exercise some caution here. That could end up breaking us lower if we're not careful. Our stochastic is starting to sell off, RSI is starting to pull back, VWAP is in the bearish territory, and the money flow is starting to weaken due to our VWAP favoring bearish with lower highs and favorable lows. That is causing momentum to pull back, which causes that money flow to weaken. Over on our 4 hour here, we did push up to our resistance area, and we are starting to reject. So if you're into doing shorts, this could be, if you watch the Master in the Trade series, an area where you could take a short position. Just watch if we meet support right around that 30-cent area. That is where that black EMA is, and that would be a strong area we would want to break if we would continue lower. And if we do continue lower, remember our rising channel can bring us down to around the 27.4 zone. Our RSI does want to weaken, stochastic is starting to pull back. We do have our blue above orange, but it's starting to curl. So if that blue breaks below our orange, RSI likely will follow lower, bringing price action lower. Momentum is in the bearish territory. We do have a higher low as that VWAP does want to break bullish, but just exercise caution because our VWAP does have lower lows. And if we reject here or get a weaker high, we could continue some bearish favor that would bring money flow lower, and price action could then react negatively. Over on the 2 hour, we do have a little bit of a rising channel under our rising channel, so that could end up breaking us down just like the rising channel above us. RSI does want to pull back, stochastic wants to pull back. VWAP is in the bullish territory, but it's starting to round away, so I would watch that VWAP very close. If that VWAP does break down, momentum could curl away, money flow could continue lower, and then we could see the bears gain some strength here, pushing the higher time frames lower as well. Over on our 1 hour, we have hit that 300 EMAs several times, and we have several rejections. If we continue to see these rejections on this 1 hour, that will lead the higher time frames to reject as well, and that could end up leading us lower in price action. Stochastic does want to pull back, RSI is pulling back as a result, so watch that stochastic close. VWAP does want to break bearish. We do have a slightly lower low here, so if we continue to pull back here, momentum could break down, money flow could reject, and then those higher time frames could push lower. We do have a bit of a rising channel, money flow is a little bit in the bearish territory, so we do have a little more bearish strength, but we did just break into the bearish territory, so that's not guaranteed of a sell-off here. Again, watch things close, watch the 1 hour, see the next couple of candles. But over on Ankr for the daily here, we do have 2 manipulation X. Remember, when these manipulation X's appear on our market cipher A, that does typically give us a greater chance of them playing out. When you saw this one, we did drop down pretty significantly, so just be prepared for that. Momentum does want to pull back, VWAP is starting to pull back, Stochastic does have our orange line above blue and it's pushing down, causing our RSI to curl away. If that continues, we could continue to see price action drop lower. Our VWAP is favoring bearish, causing momentum to pull back, and the money flow is favoring bearish, so if that VWAP continues lower, momentum could break bearish and money flow could deepen into the bearish territory, and we could see a pretty decent drawdown. Remember, our 42.89 and 40.49 are our next likely areas of support, but we do have our 37.67 and our 34.85. So over on the 4-hour here, we did hit that black EMA as well, and we are overall pulling back. I would exercise caution there. Stochastic is pulling back as well. RSI wants to drop away. Money flow is rounding away. That VWAP does have lower lows, but we do want to push forward. So if that VWAP can break our neutral, we could see momentum gain some strength. But right now, we do have more bearish favor, so I would exercise a bit of caution here. Over on our 2-hour, we are struggling with our EMA bands, continuing to reject them every time we come up to them, so I would exercise caution. That could continue to drop us lower. RSI does want to pull back, our Stochastic is trying to push up, VWAP is struggling to break that neutral, so watch the next couple candles. If that VWAP rejects here, momentum could continue lower, and money flow could continue to slide away. That would then weaken those higher time frames and cause us to slip to the support levels we have, like our 42.89. So over on the 1-hour here, we do have a little bit of a gap above us. Sorry, just sweating up here. We do have a gap above us, so this could end up pushing us forward. We also have a long lower shadow that does want to show that bears tried to push us down, but the bulls are trying to step in. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is starting to round away, and it does want to break that neutral, so I would watch that VWAP close. If it does break through this neutral, momentum will reject away, and money flow will deepen into the bearish territory, and we will see a continued sell-off. That would mean we would fill this gap at a later date then. We also do still have our gap at that 46.39 that we have not filled yet. So if we do gain some momentum on that total, then we may be able to fill those gaps, but right now we're looking a little iffy. So over on XRP for the daily, we did push down toward our value area low. We do have a long lower shadow, so that could help us set up for a push forward. I would want to see a strong green candle break that 54 next. Otherwise, if we push up to our 54, that does still leave us with a chance to break and reject away from it. Our Stochastic is pulling back. We do have our orange above blue. RSI is pulling back. Momentum's rounding away. That VWAP is favoring bearish, and the money flow does want to pull back as well. So overall, we do have a little bit more bearish momentum here. Over on our 4-hour, our RSI, our red line, is kind of pulling back, so I would watch our Stochastic, our double line, because that blue does want to pull below our orange. So if the blue does break below the orange, RSI could continue to weaken, and price action could break away from this EMA band after rejecting that 300 EMA several times. VWAP does want to get higher lows, so if that VWAP can break for a higher high, we could get bullish strength. Watch the lower time frames for that to happen though. Momentum is overall favoring more bearish, so overall we do have some weakness here. On the 2-hour here, we do have a double bottom possibility, so despite our weakness, this double bottom could try to push us up. We would want to see this neckline get broken. We are approaching that neckline area. If we do not break it, then we could end up rejecting away and end up pushing lower. So just exercise caution and watch right around possibly this EMA level where we wick to about 52.897. If we cannot break that level, then we may not see this break forward. However, if we are able to break that level, we may be able to get a run up to that resistance area just like I hinted at, and then that could give us a push forward, providing bullish momentum continues at that point. VWAP does want to push up, Stochastic is pushing forward, RSI wants to push up, and the momentum does have a green dot. It does want to push forward due to our VWAP trying to favor bullish. So if that yellow wave, our VWAP, can continue to favor bullish, our momentum, our blue wave, could continue to round up, and our money flow could go from being red into the green and flipping more bullish. Over on our 1 hour, we are continuing up along this trend line, so I would watch. If we do end up breaking away here and pushing this 300 EMA, we could invalidate this possibility. However, our stochastic is turned around, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is favoring bullish, so that is positive. If our VWAP can continue to favor bullish here, momentum could continue forward, but the money flow is starting to reject, so I would need that VWAP to continue higher here. If our VWAP does pull back and we see a consistent low, our momentum could pull back, money flow could pull back as well, and we will see lower price action if that happens. But if our VWAP does get a higher low and start to favor more bullish here, momentum will break and money flow could break with it. That would then give us the strength we need for those higher time frames to push up and break that neckline area. So that's what you want to watch for. Finally, since no one asked for any other coins, we are on ALGO, so this is our last. We do have a long lower shadow just above that support resistance of our Fibonacci area and our 300 EMA. So if we follow with a strong green candle, we could see a decent run up. We do have that 25 resistance, and we did make a strong breakdown. So if we do start retracing that breakdown, we could see a pretty strong move forward. Momentum does want to head up. It is starting to curl as our VWAP is favoring more bearish, so I would watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP does break for a lower low with this lower high, momentum could break down and money flow will pull back. That would then in turn cause price action to react negative. Over on the 4 hour here, we are struggling to break and hold that 300 EMA, so we do need to break and hold it on the next couple of candles. Otherwise, if we see a rejection and a pullback, price action likely will continue lower. That could make a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder, which could end up breaking slower, possibly toward our 1818 consolidation range. RSI does want to pull back, stochastic is starting to round away, momentum is pushing down, so I would watch that VWAP very close, as that VWAP does have a lower high forming, so if it does reject, we could get that lower high with a lower low, causing momentum to push down. However, if this VWAP can push on the lower time frames, then we could continue higher here. So over on the 2 hour, we do have a little bit of a rounding top that could form. Again, we could see that shoulder, head, shoulder that could break us lower. RSI wants to pull back. Our stochastic is starting to round away. VWAP is starting to pull back. Money flow is in the bullish territory, and the momentum is trying to push up. So if our VWAP can stay above this neutral, our momentum could continue forward and our money flow could continue higher. That would be dependent on if we can bounce off our Fibonacci range and if the 1 hour can remain bullish. Over on our 1 hour, stochastic is pulling back. RSI is pulling back as well. Momentum wants to round away. VWAP is trying to break that neutral, so I would watch the VWAP very close on the next couple candles. If that VWAP does break and get a lower low, we could see the bears gain control, pushing momentum and money flow lower. However, if our VWAP does bounce off this neutral, getting a higher low, we could see some bullish favor from here. Momentum could continue higher, and money flow could continue to strengthen, pushing those higher time frames up. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night.